So when we're preparing the script for any National League game that we do live, we always do a nice scene setter, sort of lets people know where we are, what we're about. People who may not watch the National League all that often, we kind of give them a bit of information about the team, something quirky, something they may not know. So I usually write a script in the week that Matt Smith will then present. We have him in vision a couple of times. So the first shot, we want to talk a bit about Sutton's glory days, the days of muddy pitches, packed grounds, FA Cup upsets. So we make reference to that in the first link that we've shot. And then to move it on, we then come away and we say, well, no such thing as muddy pitches these days. We're here on a 3G pitch. So we got Matt to do his link over here in that goal, which is of course where Matt Hanlon famously volleyed it into the back of the net. And that kind of gives us a nice bridge from the past to the present. And then we film the teams arriving, the teams out warming up on the pitch. And that's all used as what we call painting, the script for the opener. And it's just a nice way of getting us into the game. And then we go live. Once that's run, then we go live a couple of minutes after we've come on air. These National League games, we always have a 10-camera setup. So over there, up near where the commentary box is, we have two cameras there, camera 1 and camera 2. The camera 1 is the wide angle that you see anywhere, the wide shots of the pitch. Camera 2 is the same position, but it's much tighter on all the players, so that's where you get your tighter shots on the players. Camera 3 is at pitch level. You can see it just below the gantry there. That obviously gives you the tighter angles of the players on the pitch, nice shots of players, collisions, tackles and whatever. At these games we have one super slow camera, and today we've got that in one of the corners. It's down this corner today, I think. And then we also have a radio camera, which is also known sometimes as a steady cam, so that allows the cameraman to rove up and down the touchline. He hasn't got a cable, so he's got the freedom to move. Is that annoying you, by the way, or it doesn't matter?
That's fine.
So he's got the freedom to move up and down. Then we also have cameras on the each 18-yard line, so we can show offsides or any contentious incidents like that. And then we usually have one high behind camera, one high behind each goal. So here we've got it behind that end, and that will, on a bigger outside broadcast, you have a high behind with both goals, but for here, it's just behind the one goal. But you can get both ends in it quite comfortably. Inside the truck here, that's a 4K capable truck, so we broadcast all the National League games now in UHD, which is the first time that's been done at this level of football. It's a smaller version of the kind of galleries you find in any TV studios anywhere in the world. It's all a bit squeezed up, obviously, because it's all inside one truck. Premier League productions, they often have two trucks, one separate for presentation, one separate for the match. We're a slightly smaller operation, so everything goes on inside one truck. So when you come in, the first thing you saw was the sound engineers. What they do speaks for itself. They're in charge of all the levels of sound, mixing the sound. So sound of the crowd over the commentators, the presenters, making sure everything balances out nicely. Then you're moving on. At the back of the truck, you've got the graphics operators, very important on-screen information. In the build-up to the game, they'll be giving us stats about individual players or the teams, the league tables. During the game, things like substitutions on and off, when goals are scored, name of scorer. If a player does something, we'll identify him. So they've got a raft of information at their disposal that they can usually activate pretty quickly, which just helps us inform the viewers, really. Then the main panel, on the left-hand side, you have the PA. She's responsible for making sure everything runs to time. It's especially when you're building up to the game, when you have a running order. It's important you stick to the duration you want, because otherwise you end up dropping stuff, and you don't want to do that. You want to be able to get everything in. She'll also keep across half time. We know exactly how much we've got because we have 2 ad breaks. Full time we have to count down to going off air, so she'll be giving the presenter a countdown from kind of 1 minute downwards, so he knows when he's got to shut up. So her role is very important, just in making sure we stick to the discipline, basically, of both in the build-up and in the broadcasting of the game. Next to her is the director. He's the guy who controls the operation, all the cameras. We have 10 camera operations we spoke about earlier. He's got all that at his fingertips. He's the one who chooses which shots the viewers at home see. When we've got an incident that we want replays, he'll get talk back from the VT coordinator. He'll tell him what we've got, then we'll run it. Next to the director is the vision mixer, so he's the guy who mixes in between shots when you see a mix in and out, or a cut, he's controlling that. When you see a wipe, which is when the logos go across the screen in and out of replays, the vision mixer's in charge of that as well. We have the BT box, which is the little box that appears in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. For example, when we're doing managers' interviews during the match, we sometimes put them in the box because the action's continuing, and the vision mixer looks after all that. Again, it's quite a technical job, but really important that we get that right. And if you make a mistake, it's always obvious. I sit next to the vision mixer. Most of my work is in the preparation, deciding running orders, the agenda we're going to follow during the game, and then during the game I'm mostly looking for what we're going to analyse at half-time and full-time. So I'm in contact with the guys in VT, we agree on what incidents we're going to look at. Half-time it's usually quite brief because, as I said earlier, we only have a couple of minutes to look through it, and then we'll do a longer run at the end. I'm also in touch with the presenter and the reporter. If they're during their interviews there's a question I think they should be asking that they're not asking, then I'll say, don't forget to ask him about so-and-so. Then you moved on into the VT area, which is where the guys monitor the match for replay purposes. They clip up things for our highlight show as well. And then right at the end is the vision engineers. So if there's any issues with cameras, they're like focusing, or things like when it's a bright sunny day, you sometimes get a flare on the camera. They're the guys that control that, so they'll make sure that if there's a real sudden change from light to dark, you know, they're in charge of just adjusting the focus and making sure that it looks right. The EVS machines are what we use for replays during the game, so it's what enables you to turn replays around so quickly. Every machine is attached to a couple of cameras, and the guys are all responsible for watching 2 or 3 cameras each. And then if you get an incident or a goal, you can spool back really quickly to the in point, and then this bar here is what starts it running, and then the director will tell you when he wants the feed to start rolling, and then you can roll from different machines. That enables you to get one replay after another on so quickly.
10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A-roll. Unfortunately, I was following your hands yourself.
Gander Green Lane is one of those names, one of those places in football that immediately evokes memories of muddy pitches, small stands packed to the rafters, and of course, in the case of Sutton, the odd giant killing. 18 months after winning the FA Cup, Coventry City came a cropper here on Sutton United's greatest day in January 1989. One of those rare occasions that a non-league club has beat top-flight opposition. This is the spot where Matt Hanlon famously arrived to volley Sutton's winner against Coventry back in 1989. It's not a muddy pitch anymore here, though. In fact, a 3G artificial surface awaits the visit of Tranmere Rovers in our latest live offering from the National League. Sutton are back at this level for the first time in 16 years after winning the National League.
Once we're on air, we're in complete control of the output. Everything comes from here. The way we get on air, our PA is in touch with base back at iCity in Stratford, and they synchronise their watches so that we get an accurate countdown to when we're coming on air. And we'll be given 30 minutes to on air, 20, 10, down to 5, and then when it's time we count down to the second, and so the PA will count down on air in 10, 9, and so we go. And as she gets to 1, the director will say roll it, and then we start rolling the pre-recorded opening sequence that we shot earlier, and then we're in complete control of the output until the first ad break. And again, when we hit the ad break, then the base takes control. They play out the adverts, we don't do that, and then again we get a count back to on air, and again as the count hits 1, then the director will roll whatever we're going to next, or it might be live pictures of the presenter. Same when we go off air, really. We have a specific time to the second when we have to get off air, because we don't want to make the next programme late on. So we're working towards 14:26:43 it was today, and again, I think I mentioned earlier, the presenter will have that count in his ear, so he's talking while the countdown's going on in his ear, and so he can time his final words to the second, and he says his goodbye as the countdown hits 1, and then we get taken off air and the next programme comes on.
Our next live football in the Vanarama National League is next Saturday, and a derby of sorts as Wrexham entertain Chester. An 11:45 start next Saturday morning. We'll see you then.